This is Mr. Eugene, and today we're addressing a question countless men ask me. When a woman declares she requires space or needs time to sort things out or discover herself, how do you distinguish between genuine necessity for breathing room and tactical maneuvering, genuinely strategizing a divorce or orchestrating her exit? How do you differentiate between a woman who authentically desires brief solitude to decompress and restore, which is standard, and a woman who's quietly orchestrating her separation or divorce from you? Typically, when a woman is simply requiring space and solitude to restore, to locate her sense of identity, and to connect with others without feeling suffocated and pressured by everything domestic, she maintains a sense of relationship. When a woman is simply requiring space for herself but isn't strategizing her departure, she maintains her identity as a wife, as a lover. She's predominantly affectionate. She's predominantly compassionate. She's predominantly attentive. She's genuinely transparent. She's typically genuinely vulnerable, and she'll communicate things she's experiencing and request your consideration and request some understanding. That's authentic. So a woman can be experiencing depression or otherwise withdrawn and still possess zero intention to abandon you. She's simply navigating that phase where she requires opportunity to restore and reconnect with herself. Then there's the alternative component of this, and that is when a woman genuinely is preparing departure, when she's purchasing time, when she's organizing all her arrangements and she's strategizing her exit. Whether or not she possesses someone external doesn't matter, but behavioral transformations are quite obvious. And these tend to be indicators of consistent disrespect, dismissiveness, eye-rolling, avoidance, experiencing serious resistance with touch and affection. Just the mildest forms of compliments or husband-wife affection, hand-holding. Sometimes she'll withdraw from you and deliver you a look of disgust. If she's simply disgusted or disappointed in you pursuing her again, that's typically an indication that something more serious is occurring. And I wanted to present the distinction here because my guidance to a man, when a woman is in a standard state of depression or sadness or simply desiring some solitude to get unsmothered, his responses to that are genuinely different. It's time to apply just a small amount of positive pressure. Maintain your affection, maintain your positive mood, maintain your proactiveness, maintain your pursuit of her. Don't apologize for being attracted to the woman you believe you desire to be married to. If she's executing that behavior, you're going to have to challenge her boundaries somewhat more, and observe if she's going to become transparent. Or continue operating as you consistently do. Kiss her, embrace her, initiate intimacy. You have to pierce the abscess. You have to execute something to make it reach a critical point so you can access the truth. But I'm going to instruct you not to execute it with anger and resentment and immature whining and sulking and begging and pleading. That is the worst method to pierce the abscess. You have to pierce the abscess like a man. You have to elevate and execute it in a manner that honors you, your presence, your calm, composed, masculine value, and execute it in a manner that advances it to conclusion, advances it directly to the threshold to generate her becoming transparent on what she's contemplating. And I'll express this to conclude. Not every woman who believes she's preparing departure is genuinely preparing departure. Sometimes they become irritable and disrespectful and dismissive in all of those elements I mentioned, and they are strategizing a departure. They believe. They're not completely certain, but they believe. You'll never understand. You'll never understand what she's genuinely contemplating. You'll never possess the capacity to engage the conversation about what she most requires and what she most experiences unless you pierce that abscess. Let me expand on why this distinction matters profoundly, because your response to these two completely different situations should be radically different. Respond incorrectly and you accelerate the outcome you're trying to prevent. When she's genuinely just needing space, needing to breathe, needing to reconnect with herself, backing off entirely communicates that you don't care enough to pursue. It validates her fear that you've stopped seeing her as a woman worth pursuing. Your withdrawal confirms the very concern that's making her need space in the first place. But when she's actually plotting departure, when she's already emotionally exited the marriage, continuing to pursue as if everything's normal just makes you look oblivious. It makes you look like you can't read the room, like you're operating in denial while she's 3 steps ahead, orchestrating her exit. So the stakes are high. Misread the situation, and you either push away a woman who just needed reassurance that you're still invested, or you waste months pursuing a woman who's already gone mentally while she positions herself legally and financially. Here's how to read the difference more precisely, because the distinction isn't always immediately obvious. A woman who genuinely needs space but isn't leaving maintains connection points. She might be withdrawn, but she's not completely cold. She still laughs occasionally at your jokes. She still engages in some conversations. She still shows interest in aspects of your life. The warmth isn't gone, it's just diminished temporarily. A woman who's planning departure has eliminated connection points systematically. She doesn't laugh at your humor. She doesn't engage your conversations beyond logistical necessities. She shows zero interest in your life, your work, your thoughts. The warmth isn't diminished, it's extinguished. A woman who genuinely needs space still has moments of vulnerability with you. She might share what she's struggling with, even if it's uncomfortable. She might admit she's overwhelmed or lost or confused. She's still treating you as someone safe to be honest with. A woman planning departure has closed off all vulnerability. She shares nothing meaningful. She's guarded, calculated, performing normalcy without authentic emotional presence. You're no longer safe to be vulnerable with because you've become the adversary she's preparing to face legally. A woman who genuinely needs space still responds to your affection, even if inconsistently. Sometimes she leans into it, sometimes she doesn't. But there's not consistent rejection. There's fluctuation that indicates internal conflict, not settled decision. A woman planning departure responds to your affection with consistent rejection or disgust. There's no fluctuation. There's settled aversion. Your touch repels her because she's already emotionally divorced you, and your physical presence reminds her she's still legally bound. A woman who genuinely needs space still maintains some future orientation with you. She still references future plans, even casually. When we still appears in her vocabulary occasionally, the future still includes you, even if the present is difficult. A woman planning departure has eliminated all future orientation that includes you. She stops referencing shared future. She stops making plans beyond immediate necessities. When discussing anything future, it's I, not we. She's already written you out of her future mentally. These distinctions matter because they inform your response strategy. If she's genuinely just needing space, here's what you do. You maintain your masculine presence without being overbearing. You continue pursuing her emotionally and physically, but you're not desperate about it. You're consistent, you're confident, you're not reactive to her fluctuations. You demonstrate that her withdrawal doesn't destroy you, but it also doesn't stop you from being the man who's attracted to her. You kiss her when you leave for work. You initiate intimacy periodically. You compliment her genuinely. You maintain your good mood and positive energy regardless of her responsiveness. This accomplishes several things. First, it demonstrates you're not fragile. Her moods don't control your state. That's attractive. Men who are emotionally dependent on female approval are repellent. Men who maintain their frame regardless of female responsiveness are magnetic. Second, it maintains the masculine-feminine polarity that generates attraction. If you withdraw when she withdraws, you're matching her energy, which kills polarity. Polarity requires difference. Your consistent masculine presence against her fluctuating feminine energy creates the tension that can reignite attraction. Third, it prevents you from creating the very outcome you fear. If you back off completely, giving her all the space she says she wants, you confirm that you're not really that interested. You validate her fear that pursuing space makes her lose your attention. This can push a woman who is just needing breathing room into actually considering departure because she interprets your withdrawal as evidence you don't really want her. But if she's actually planning departure, your strategy shifts significantly. Now, you're not trying to maintain attraction, you're trying to force clarity, to bring the situation to a head so you stop operating in uncertainty while she positions herself advantageously. You continue pursuing, but now it's strategic rather than authentic. You're creating pressure that forces her to either recommit or reveal her actual intentions. You're not giving her the comfortable middle ground where she can keep you on standby while she prepares her exit. You initiate difficult conversations. You ask direct questions about her feelings, her commitment, her intentions. You don't accept vague deflections. You press for clarity even when it's uncomfortable. You maintain physical pursuit. You initiate intimacy. You create situations where her rejection or acceptance reveals her actual state. If she's still somewhat invested, she'll respond occasionally. If she's completely gone, she'll reject consistently, and that consistent rejection gives you the information you need. You observe her response to pressure. Does she eventually open up and become vulnerable about what she's actually feeling? Or does she become more guarded, more hostile, more dismissive? The former suggests she's conflicted but not gone. The latter suggests she's already decided and is just managing the timeline. Here's why this matters practically. If she's genuinely just needing space and you back off completely, you might lose a marriage that could have been saved with proper masculine leadership during her difficult phase. Women don't actually want you to give them all the space they ask for. They want you to pursue them enough to demonstrate you still want them while respecting that they need some breathing room. It's a calibration, not an absence. But if she's actually planning departure and you don't force clarity, you waste months in limbo while she positions herself legally, financially, and emotionally. You lose the opportunity to either address the real issues early or protect yourself from the worst outcomes of divorce. The worst mistake men make is treating both situations identically. They either withdraw from both, giving the woman complete space regardless of which situation they're in, or they pursue desperately in both situations, which pushes away the woman who just needs breathing room and looks pathetic to the woman who's already decided to leave. You need discernment. You need to read the signals accurately, and you need to respond appropriately to the actual situation, not the situation you hope exists. Here's my final point on this, and it's critical. Not every woman who thinks she wants to leave actually wants to leave permanently. Many women in this state are testing. They're creating distance to see if you'll fight for them or let them go easily. They're checking if you still value them enough to pursue when pursuing is difficult. This is why your response matters so profoundly. If you immediately accept her departure, if you make it easy, if you don't challenge or pursue or create any pressure, you might be confirming the very fear that pushed her toward departure, that you don't actually care that much, that she's easily replaceable, that her presence or absence doesn't significantly impact you. Some women need to see you fight for them to believe you actually want them. They create crisis to test your commitment. It's not healthy, it's not mature, but it's real. And if you respond to that test by withdrawing, you fail the test and she proceeds with departure, not because she definitely wanted to leave, but because you confirmed through your withdrawal that leaving was the right decision. This is the abscess that needs piercing. You have to create enough pressure that she either reconnects or clearly exits. The worst outcome is years of limbo where neither of you is really committed, neither of you is really happy, and both of you are just managing unhappiness instead of resolving it. Pierce the abscess like a man, not with anger, not with neediness, not with desperation, with calm, confident, masculine pursuit that forces clarity, with direct questions that demand honest answers, with physical and emotional presence that she has to either accept or explicitly reject. Either outcome gives you information, either she reconnects because your pursuit reminded her why she chose you, or she clearly rejects and you stop wasting time on a marriage she's already abandoned mentally. Both outcomes are better than the limbo of uncertainty while she quietly plans her exit and you remain oblivious. If this clarified a situation you're navigating right now, if this helped you distinguish between genuine need for space and planned departure, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and follow for more truth about marriage dynamics that relationship counselors won't tell you this directly. Someone needs to explain what's actually happening in these situations instead of giving generic advice about giving her space that destroys as many marriages as it saves. That's what we do here.